one of my last videos, I talked to you about my investments in terms of capital investments in the fine wine industry. An investment with a return of 175% and even more in just 4 years' time. By the way, I invite you to consult one of my last videos in which we talked about my training, my course for fine wine investors. It's an opportunity to seize. It's time to bend the iron when it's still hot. Well, I'd also talk to you about my company which produces wine and which is, for that matter, active in all the steps of the value chain, beginning from the production of grapes through the transformation into wine, the bottling, up to the distribution. Well, in this video, I'll be presenting to you my vineyard. Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Arnaud, investor and serial entrepreneur in Germany and in Europe. Welcome to my channel, Wine Investor. Here we talk about investments and entrepreneurship in the wine industry and other industries as well, while giving you methods and strategies that will help you achieve a tremendous success in any business field. So please like the video, share it as much as you can so that a high amount of people can benefit from my content just as you do. Subscribe and most importantly, activate the notification clock so as to always be on premiere on all our videos. We are here in the Baden-Württemberg state in Germany, to be more precise, in the German wine growing region known as Württemberg. Württemberg is covered by a little more than 11,000 hectares of vineyards and has a total wine production of over 1 million hectoliters. This contributes to more than 10% of the total wine production in Germany. While Württemberg is also located in the same latitude zone of the 49 degrees above the equator as the famous wine growing region in France known as Champagne. And that's why you will have in both regions almost the same types of varieties. You have the Pinot Noir in French, known here as Spätburgunder, Pinot Meunier, known here as Schwarz Riesling, and the Chardonnay, which carries the same name in both regions. But you also have here local varieties such as Lemberger, Trollinger, and Riesling, as well as other exotic varieties such as Muscatella, known as Muscat in French, and Grauburgunder, known as Pinot Gris in French. Well, we manage several vineyards here with a total surface of 2 hectares, and we are in locality with over 45 hectares of vineyards. We have on these 2 hectares of vineyards more than 8,800 vines, all Pinot Noir. Well, as you can see, we have very slopey vineyards. We have on average a slope of about 45%, and that is going to significantly affect our cost of production. You need to know that when managing large surfaces of vineyards in terms of hectares, you need machinery. But on slopey vineyards, you need machinery with advanced technology. A technology which you will definitely not need for machineries which are intended to be used on flat vineyards. But we chose these vineyards because of its slope, because the 45% slope gives an optimum exposure to the sunlight, which allows every vine on the vineyards to benefit from the same amount of sunlight. That's very important to have a good sugar, acidity, and mineral content, which is mostly important to produce great wines as we do here. Well, we have a distance of about 1 meter between 2 vines on each row, and we have a distance of 2 meters between 2 rows. This is important as to allow enough space for machinery to drive along comfortably. The vine belongs to a category of plants known as lianas. Lianas grow continuously. If we leave these vineyards for 1 or 2 years without doing anything, the plants are just going to continuously grow and grow in any direction. So the main task of a wine grower or of a winemaker constitutes in giving to the growth of the vine a trajectory that will certainly allow space for the vegetative growth of the plant, but will definitely leave in the soil enough nutrients that are necessary for the production of grapes in good shape, good size, but with a good level of sugar, acidity, and mineral content. Well, the vine, as well as any other fruit plant, goes through a certain number of stages before producing good fruits. I've already talked about the harvest we had this year, which marks the end of the growing season for this year. The next step marks the first step in the next growing season, and this step consists in pruning. Pruning consists in cutting out all the branches on the vine with the exception of 1 or 2 branches. These branches are going to guarantee the yield for the next year. If you look closer at these branches, you will see that at the base of every leaf we have a bud, which we call an inert bud. Okay, the buds were formed at the same time as the leaves this year, but remained inert after their formation. But these buds are definitely going to guarantee the yield for the next year. After the pruning comes the winter season, and because of the minus temperatures, the plant or the vine remains inert until ending of March, beginning of April next year. At this point in time, depending on the temperatures and the varieties, we have the next stage known as the bud break. From each bud on the branch which was left over from last year is going to grow a branch that was going to form out beginning with 2 or 3 leaves, and as the branch grows, it's going to develop 1 or 2 flowers depending on the type of variety. We are here on Pinot Noir, so on average for Pinot Noirs we have 2 flowers on each branch. So you see that the pruning is very important for the yield of the following year, because after having cut all the other branches, we will leave a branch which has a substantial amount of buds, and we talk on average of 8 to 9 buds per branch on maximum. So you see that if you have 8 buds, you have on the next year on average between 16 to 18 flowers, and these flowers are going to grow into grapes. So you have between 16 and 18 grapes on each plant. Well, till the branches is going to grow, the flowers are going to grow up till the end of May. By the end of May, you have the flowering process, and with the pollination, the flowers grow and give rise to berries. What is peculiar about the vine is that the vine is a hermaphrodite, so it has on each flower both male and female sexual organs, which means that there's no need for bees to transfer pollens from the male organs to the female organs, as well as we know, for example, for other types of plants. So by the end of May, we have small berries that are formed as fruits from the flowering process after the pollination, and these berries are going to take advantage of the last average moderate amount of rainfall we have by the end of May, beginning of June, to grow rapidly in size. By the end of July, you have the veraison phase. So the veraison is a named bird from the French, and the veraison marks the beginning of the maturing or of the ripening phase, of the ripening phase of the grapes, and it's marked by changing color of the berries. So the berries change from a green color to a yellowish color for the white grapes, and from a green color to a dark blue color for the red grapes, depending on the varieties. So from the veraison to the ripening, to the full maturity of the grapes, you have about 1.5 to 2 months, depending on the varieties. So for the Pinot Noir, we will say almost 1.5 months, because we had veraison by end of July this year, and we had our first harvest in the mid of September. We had a second harvest mid-October, because we needed for a particular type of wine to have more sugar content in the grapes. Well, you might be asking yourself, how could I get into this kind of business, especially if you know that I have a technical background? What I have to tell you is I have a good answer. You need to know that we live in an era where you do not need to have, a master or a PhD degree, for example, in animal production in order to own an animal farm. You just need to move along to get trained by people who own farms, by people who own, businesses in the kind of, industry you want to invest in. For 2 years now, I've been training myself in vineyard management, and I still have my training going on till next year, but it doesn't stop me from starting over this business, because I mastered it already. Throughout these years, I'd worked at different wineries where I gained experience, knowledge, and especially entrepreneurship skills in order to manage this whole business. What I want you also to know is that as an entrepreneur, you need to get along with people who are in the same field as you are. You know, of course, everyone is a competitor, but you need to get along with with people who have experience in entrepreneurship, people who have experience in the domain in which you invest. The training I've been doing for the past 2 years has also given me the opportunity to to create a network around me with people who are also in the same domain and who have had a lot of challenges, to overcome in the last years. And that's why this year we had a severe problem with with dryness. So we had 3 weeks of intense temperatures, and we had a lot of vines, especially in the medium range, in the middle of the vineyard, that almost dried out. So we lost about 15% of our yield, of our total production, just because of that. But I had to handle and take action as soon as possible. So this was only possible because I had in my network people who didn't have to deal with that problem this year, but who had dealt with the problem sometime in the past, and they could put me in contact with people who could supply me pipes for drop irrigations that we drop along each line here, and gave me contact to people who have big tanks, water tanks. We're talking about tanks with each a capacity of 10,000 liters of water that drove over here to irrigate the plants for several hours. And I could get these people timely because I had the contacts, because I had contacted some other firms, for example, who told me, yeah, okay, we'll be coming over to your vineyard, but maybe next week. But I had to handle very fast because the yield kept on reducing day by day. But with the contacts I had, I was able to, with a network, I was able to get in contact with people who told me, okay, I'm going to solve your problem either tomorrow, either today, late this evening, or tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Very important. And that's why on this channel, we're going to create a community of entrepreneurs that are going to get along with each other, exchange our experiences from different fields so that each entrepreneur can gain lessons that is going to apply in his field in order to optimize his company. Well, I hope you've loved this video, and I hope that you could have an insight of what happens, for example, in the vineyard. So far, I've given you a theory, on the phases through which a vine goes in order to produce fruits. But believe me, in the next growing season, I will take you along with me, at each phase we have on this vineyard, so as to explain you what exactly happens here. When we have machinery driving over here, for example, to spray pesticides, or when we have machinery driving along here to clear the grass, and people working here, I will definitely take you along so that you have an insight of the product that you definitely have at the end to buy. Well, tell me if you like the video. Please like, comment, write me in the comments to tell me what was beneficial for you in this video, so that I know what exactly you will like, and I know if you will like such videos more and more, and I give you a rendezvous in my next videos. Ciao.